Next, let's switch to the topic of some municipal initiatives, and in this case, one that's been stalled temporarily, but we think only temporarily. Matt Abel is going to talk about an initiative in Detroit, Michigan. Matt is a very active member, in fact, a life member of the NORML Legal Committee. He founded Cannabis Council, a practice entirely consistent of cannabis cases and clients. But more importantly, what I've seen over the last year or whatever since, I guess about a year now since Michigan has had that new initiative, is Matt is truly the go-to guy on these important questions in Michigan. But again, instead of having him talk about the medical use law today, I'd like for him to talk about what's going on with that initiative that we expected to be on the ballot this November in Michigan. Matt?
Thank you, Keith, and happy NORML, everyone. It's good to be here. I'm a lawyer in Detroit, and there are some activists in Detroit who approached me and said they wanted to do something further to try to decriminalize marijuana or move the ball even a little bit. Tim Beck is the person who actually put the language together and then had the petitions printed, came to me and someone else and asked for funding, and three of us just kicked in a little bit to print it and to pay some circulators. We didn't even need 1,000 signatures for this. So if initiative is available to you in your state or your municipality or your county, do it. You know, take a look at the city charter, the county charter. If that is available, there are all kinds of ways that we can do this on a smaller level to make inroads, and that's what we were trying to do in Detroit. The Detroit City Charter allows citizen initiative, and it didn't require a whole ton of signatures. So we printed some petitions that said this would amend the Detroit City Code to exempt adults possessing or using marijuana on private property by amending the code section. And to add this section, none of the provisions of this article shall apply to the use or possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana on private property by a person who has attained the age of 21 years. And then we reprinted the entire controlled substances ordinances in the city of Detroit and just added that section. So it requires you to put all the language there that might be effective. So better safe than sorry. In fact, we printed them once and there was some small heading that wasn't in bold, and it was completely reprinted. That cost a couple $100, but it's important to have the details right, too. What happened was we circulated the petitions. We paid petitioners $1 a signature, and those were filed with the county clerk. With the city clerk. They were filed with the city clerk. The city clerk counted them. And they had sufficient signatures under the law. They were good. And then it was submitted to the Election Commission to set the language to go on the ballot. And Tim and I appeared at the Election Commission hearing, and instead of considering language, the Corporation Council, one of the 3 members of this commission, said, we can't do this. This is illegal. And I move that it be denied, and we just can this, and that's what happened. Now, they had written a legal opinion, which we only found that day and obtained a copy of it, saying that they felt it was illegal for 2 reasons. That it was preempted by federal law, and that it was advisory only in nature. And neither of those is true or accurate. But so we sued them. Is what happened. This is a copy of the lawsuit that I filed in Wayne County in Detroit. And we got an order to show cause against the city clerk and the election commission, the head of the city council. And we appeared at the hearing, and at the mandamus hearing, the judge said, this violates the law, and I'm not going to order that it be placed on the ballot, and basically make me kind of. And so we're going to. But not right away. The timing is such that the ballots are being printed already now. And the politics are such that while the Court of Appeals, our next step, might, if they want to, hear a case in 3 or 4 days, it typically takes roughly a year and a half from the date all the briefs have been filed and are sitting in the court before they hear the case. Well, at least a year. So looking at that, what we've decided to do is we're filing a motion for rehearing in front of this judge, explaining a little more how he's wrong, because he didn't really hear us out all that much. He had his mind made up, and we'd like to show him what a stupid decision that was, if you excuse me. That's a legal term. You can look it up. And we want to show him some other things that I didn't have and didn't think were necessary, like a copy of the Detroit medical marijuana law that was passed in 2004, 4 years before our state law, which was put on the ballot and wasn't preempted and wasn't advisory. And he asked me how, what actual effect it would have. How is it not advisory? And I said, well, an officer wouldn't be able to write a ticket under city code that he can write today. That's a big practical difference. And then he made up some crazy analogies that were not on point, and I explained that to him, and he said, good point, and we moved on. And anyway, we are going to be filing a motion for rehearing in front of the same judge. And we expect it'll be denied, but our brief will be much thicker and more professional, ready to go to the Court of Appeals. We kind of thought it was a lay down, but it was all over before we got there. So when we go to the Court of Appeals, we'll have all the legal arguments already laid out in the lower court, which is a better way for us to do it. And the timing is such that it looks like if and when we win this, it'll probably be either a special election, which will be rather interesting, or it could be even 2 years from now in the 2012 elections. So we are slowed but not deterred, and we're going to move forward. And actually, I thought that, first of all, I thought there was no way we were going to lose. I was so confident when I went to court. Although I never get overconfident. I never say it's a done deal, but I felt very good about the case because the law really is very strongly on our side. And when we lost, I was surprised that I wasn't depressed or dejected. I was invigorated by more of the injustice that's still coming from the government. And so that had the reverse effect that I expected, but it was a good thing for all of us. And I'm reinvigorated, and I'm willing and ready to press on forward in this. And so we're gone but not forgotten, or we're forgotten now but not gone. We'll be back, put it that way, one way or another. So, all right. Thank you very much.